Good morning, folks. Welcome to our fifth installment, live from Jerusalem, to our friends in Europe and beyond. We've had such a wonderful time so far. Our last week's lesson was deep and involved. We had people from Bogota, Colombia, from Ireland, and of course our wonderful friends in Vilnius, Lithuania. And today, folks, we're just waiting for Rabbi Chaim to come online. But we do have some other guests with us as well. We've got Timothy Klein in Nova Scotia, Canada, and I'm in British Columbia, Canada, so that's about 7,000 kilometers away from myself, coast to coast here in Canada. And, of course, we've got Renat with us from Vilnius, Lithuania, and others, folks. So welcome to our show. Rabbi Chaim, have we got you live there?
Tell me. You need to tell me. I don't know if I'm alive.
Yes, you're live. If you could tilt your camera down a little bit so we can see more of you. Okay, excellent. Now you're dead center. You got the center stage, Rabbi. We're so glad that you take the time out of your very busy schedule, especially this week with Pesach this week. I know how busy you are.
We have Passover soon, and I must say that this is a very hectic time, very full time that we are working around the clock to organize, to prepare ourselves for Passover. Okay, this is life, but we took upon us of this mission, so we're doing it. Just a moment, let me find I have another PowerPoint that we will use. Just a moment.
Yes, last week we talked a lot about the 8th day, the Mishkan, Samana, how it all links to us. And you were on a very, very, very live topic.
I'm trying. Again, here it is. Equally human men. Here it is. Today was the 15th, right? Yes.
What's the weather like in Israel today?
It's a bit cold. It's a bit, raining. It's also surprising a bit because in Israel, we were not. It wasn't at all on this way. We're supposed to be now in the springtime, and we lost it again.
And it's cold. Wow. Renat says it's beautiful in Vilnius, and Timothy, what's it like there in Nova Scotia?
It's actually very nice, yeah.
You guys got lots of ocean there, I know. My father was born in Nova Scotia, and I see we have another gentleman, Dan, with us as well.
Why do we hear this this voice on the way? Double voice.
Might be feedback on your. Yeah, somebody's bouncing.
I'm doing as usual. Maybe everybody will mute himself.
All right, I'm going to mute me.
We will have time also to ask questions, so it's okay. I will share the screen and we'll start learning. Everybody is okay. Fine.
I'm okay. Okay, Timothy, you come in.
There we go.
Excellent.
No echo, Rabbi Renat?
I'm online.
Okay, excellent. Now everybody on without any echo. You can I'm without echo, right?
Yeah, you're without echo. We're free to go. All right. So where are you taking us today, Rabbi? What have you got from Torah? We so appreciate it coming out of Jerusalem. Sharing with us personally and sharing with the nations. We know, as you have said, that it's all about making the world a better place.
Yes, it is. So this is what I'm going to go inside today. And the issue is, I want to speak something very principle, but we will go also inside to some verses and we will see them. It's a bit jumping between the beginning of Genesis and the Noach side, but it's important to understand a bit what's happening in a larger scale of what's happening here in this beginning of the Bible, and then we will continue on after Passover when we will come back again to those meetings. we'll continue on with a step-by-step from Genesis, and we'll deal with a few very important issues, another issues that are inside here. So I want to speak about the equality of all human beings. And I wrote something a week ago, something like that.
Beautiful article it was, yeah.
So we'll start with this, but we'll go inside to understand also how it's working or what happened there. So I'm sorry if we're going back or we're saying a few things that maybe people read them on the internet already with my writing, but it's only the beginning, so it's okay. So I said, I need to see it like that. Just a moment. Now you can see, everybody can see it. Everybody can see what's happening here. So this is something very from the part of the foundation, I will say, okay? So we can manage to reach the sky and to dive into the internal depths within us. And the most important issue to understand, it's something that is related with clarifying values and healthier, more, I will say, complete harmony in our lives with everybody else, not only with our families. And it's also connected to the entire world. As you can see also in this picture, I'm trying to show it a bit visuality in a visual way. It's connected to everybody in this world, the things that we're going to say. In the beginning of Genesis, okay, we're speaking about the dispersal of all of everybody in chapter 11, of all of the people in the world who got spread over all the world. This is in the beginning already in chapter 11. But before that, we started the starting point. And it's important for me to say that everything here that I'm going to say, it's already inside within us. We all know that. But something very interesting happened along history that we lost it, that we forgot it. So it's something that inside us, and because we lost it a bit along the history, because all sorts of things I will explain in a moment or in few, this is what we're going to speak this hour, this night. How come or what happened that we lost it? But usually when I'm saying those things, people are saying to me at the end, wow, those things, we know them. It's nothing new. From the other side, it's very new, old new environment of thinking, of logical. Okay. Oh, come on. Don't follow me. And everything, as I said, are not new for us. We are here to, those truths, okay, got lost over the course of history. And I want to explain what happened and how it happened. And it's all starting with a shared origin of the humanity that we all have together, and it doesn't matter if we have black skin, white skin, if we are boys, we are girls, if we are this age or another age, anything else, it's all together with all of us. And the first fundamental principle is that we have a shared origin of humanity. Okay, since the beginning of history, whether of ignorance or perhaps of arrogance, all the different races have tried to think that only their origin is the beginning of everything else, and all the others are coming from them. Okay, and this is something that everybody tried. If you will go to the ancient Greece, or you will go to the ancient people from Africa, if you will go to ancient, all sorts of the Egyptians, everybody said, we are the beginning of the world, and everybody else came from us. And this also gave people the opportunity, I will say, to look on others like they are primitive, inferior, and they are less developed than others. And from there on, they managed to look at the others in a way that they took from them the personal freedom, usually. And we can see that also a bit in the Egyptians who are capturing the Jewish nation, the Hebrew nation, to be their slaves. But it wasn't only there. It was usually when someone came from a different place or something else, they were being treated as secondary, not very important, as secondary people. And when we're looking, for example, just a moment, when we're looking when we're looking in the beginning of the Bible, okay, before
Right.
the period of the flood, we see that the chapter before the period of the flood is speaking about all the human and exactly where or how. The chapter after the flood. The chapter after the flood is
Right.
explaining exactly where all the nations went to. Now, we already spoke about this done once. You can't come to a nation and to speak with them about something that happened 400 years ago, and people will say to you, yes, you're right, because 400 years ago, we all know more or less what happened. I will give an example. If you will go today and we'll try to explain that Copernicus said that the world is standing in the center and all of the other stars and everything else is going around the world. If you will say
Yes, heliocentric universe, sure.
If you will say this about Copernicus, everyone will say to us, shut down. We all know that Copernicus said just the opposite. And on the same side, when Moses is coming to the Hebrew nation and saying to them, 400 years ago, all the humanity went from one place to another, and this is where those people went, and this is where those people went. And people will say to him, stop bluffing us. We know that things were different. So we see now, or we understand, that when Moses is coming and saying what happened 400 years ago, 400 years before that, and they're accepting that, the Hebrew nation, we understand that this is something that is starting in the beginning. And it's all started even much, much long before the concept of liberty, equality, and fraternity that was celebrated during the French Revolution. We're speaking about things that happened much before. And the issue is very simple. We're speaking about that God created one man, and from him, he also created the woman. Now, I want to explain this a bit. It's connected to the first chapter of Genesis. Because when someone is thinking about this issue, they can say to themselves, first of all, the principle is that everybody is equal. Everybody is from one man. No one here is from a different, I will say, a different place or much better than the other one. We all started from one man. Now, a lot of people are saying, yes, but look, the woman came from the man. It's not like that. We need to look at this a bit more, in a profound way. We have in this world everything like the yin and yang. We have in this world the side of, I will say, the one that is giving and the one that is getting. Okay, and also this big soul, I will say, of the first man, it was also combined together with yin and yang. They were combined. And God did some sort of a separation that there will be two that are basically one that was separated to two sides. And this is how we need to look at this issue of men and women. And we all started from this one man-woman issue. And therefore, we are all equal. And we can't say that this one is more likely to be with liberty than the other one, because we're all equal. We're all starting with the same issue. And I said that it's even before the emancipation movement and the dark-skinned, for the dark-skinned people. Also, we know that all of these issues started only a few years ago. And we're speaking about the entire human race. And this is the creation. Man is the creation that was made to organize. And this is one of the most important issues that we spoke a bit in the last previous meetings. Man is being here to organize the chaos and to shape it into something orderly. We see in the first verse of the Bible, we say that God created heaven and earth.
Yes.
And from the second verse, we see, first of all, the heaven is getting lost. We're not speaking about heaven at all. And the earth is in a very big chaos.
Yeah,
and from there on, we're trying to organize everything, to bring things back to the proportion, to bring things to be in the right way. So in the first 6 days, God is doing those things. And after the end of the 6th day, God is stopping, like we spoke in the last few meetings, God is stopping from doing things, and He is giving the man the possibility to organize and to put everything orderly in its place. Okay, and men have also the ability to develop things, to organize this world properly, and to placing each part in its proper place throughout human history. And this is what basically we're getting. Now, unfortunately, a lot of things that we did also in this world was wars, and we killed one each other. But this is,
Right.
let's put this aside. What is the intention of God? Okay, God is saying to us, listen, there are a lot of people here. There was a chaos. I did few things in the first 6 days. In the seventh day, I'm resting aside. I'm not resting. Yes, we spoke about this also. I'm watching from the side, behind the scenes, and this is your time to organize, to finalize this issue of the chaos. And because Adam was created from God's spirit, okay, his wife Eve, the mother of all life, was created from part of him. Okay, we're speaking about two that are together, and this is where we say we are managing to organize or creating complete unity among the human race. Because if we started from this one point, we'll go back to this point. This is the starting point of the human race. It's starting with one man. Another parallel that I can say is the issue of when you're taking a lot of drops of water, okay, and you're putting them on some sort of a plate, okay, and there are a lot of drops of waters. When you're putting the plate a bit aside, okay, not on the right scale, all the drops are coming together, combining together. And the issue of the soul is like this issue of the water, it's like this parallel. It's something spiritual that have much more connection inside us than what we can think, what can we imagine. This is also the issue of praying. By the way, in the last 25 years, there is a movement of healing people by speaking with them, by holding their hands, and giving them a lot of emotions and praying, even though it's nothing that is connected or related, only to drugs. So we say that the connection between the souls is very inside, very united. And this issue of this relationship, it's because we started from one man that I will say that was broken to a lot of souls. All of us are part of this one big man that was once. Because of that, because we started from one, we will manage to conclude, to do the end of history by being united back together. This is how the Hebrew nation is seeing those things. And another issue that I think that maybe I didn't say it yet, but I will say it now. One of the things that the Hebrew tradition is saying, that God, from where God took the issue of the man, but the body side of man, he took it under the altar of the Holy Temple of Jerusalem to create the man from to create the first man. Okay, from the earth. It says in our tradition, from the side of the atonement, he was created. Okay, and God said, I will create him from the side of the atonement. May he stand. So we see two main issue things. Okay, God took this issue, and we spoke about now we can understand what we're speaking about. We spoke about this issue of the temple. Okay, now we're starting to understand how much the temple have a universal approach in the Hebrew ritual, because it's not something that is related only to the Hebrew people. It's related to all mankind, because all of us, the dust that God took to organize the men, he took it from the Holy Temple. So it's something that is related to everybody in this world. This part of
that's really deep, Rabbi. I really think, especially a lot of us in the world, we would have a hard time grasping that. Wait a second. Man was created at a specific place, taken out of the ground, and then fragmented, if you will, all around, and God has called us to bring this all back together into that one place. Is that what you're saying? To where the temple was?
Yes. So, and at the end of days, it also says that the Torah will go out from Zion and from the temple, that everybody will come there to worship God, to the source, to worship God. So we're not going to die there. We're going to unite ourselves in this issue of the temple. And this is how we see this issue. It's a place where we can all be reunited together. We can all be together, and it's having a good relationship between each one and one of us to this specific place, because we are all starting from this place. This is the beginning. And another thing that we can see, so we said the holy site is the origin of all people, and in addition, okay, when we can be together, it reflects the unity of the Creator. Okay, so it's not only associated this temple site, okay, with the Jewish nation, as we said. It's an eminent for the entire world. Okay, and this is a special way of thinking that we, the Hebrew nation, raise up all to see, based on the fundamental lofty belief that we maintain regarding the unity of God and creation. So
wow, that's huge.
We're managing to organize ourselves, or to say all the time that we can be united, and not only us as people, but we can also be united, and to be all united with the same God. So I need to explain a bit more with the issue of the seven laws and everything else, but we'll continue on and we'll say this. Again, when we're speaking about the others, we see that other nations are speaking about something altogether different, okay? Because everybody else is going only relating to their specific nation.
Right, history. Mythological stories and told by their ancient societies. We find most of them contain characteristics of the history specific to that nation. That is a wild thought, Rabbi, that it explains a lot.
Yes, and this is not the case regarding the stories of the Hebrew nation, okay, where the unity of human also produces history unity. So we're speaking about when you're looking, okay, when you're taking the Bible, okay, the main issue of the Bible, we're taking the Bible, that this is, I will say, the most important story telling of the Hebrew nation. We're starting in the first 10 chapters. We're not speaking about only the Hebrew nation. We're speaking about all of unity, all of the people in this world. And again, as I said before, you can't go and to say to the people of Israel, listen, you need all to believe me that this is what happened. Because people 400 years ago, we still remember what happened. And we know if you're trying to tell us rubbish, we'll tell you, no, stop saying to us rubbish. So people agreed with this issue. And this is the only... we need to understand what happened, why the Hebrew nation is feeling like that. I will explain this in a moment, but this is every I will say every baby in the Hebrew nation, when he's starting to learn the Torah, when he's starting to learn this his history, it's not starting only from Abraham. It starts from the first Adam and Eve, that is related to all humanity. And we're saying from the beginning, you have the possibility, or you have the potential of helping to reunite everybody together. Then we're also going inside to the story of the Hebrew nation. But it's coming only, after 20 generations. It's not starting from the beginning. At the beginning, we're speaking about creation of the world. We're speaking about all humanity. Questions still here? Someone have questions, we can go on the questions. If not, we'll continue.
Well, I've got nothing online, Rabbi, but I mean, I have done so much study of the Neolithic, of the times prior to the Hebrew nation. And you talk about this unity of humanity also produces historical unity. And when we go back to the Tower of Babel and the dispersion, and even prior, history today and archaeology today is learning more and more and more. And I've had some conversations, and I plan on having some live sessions with another rabbi who's a teacher there in Israel, and who's a great scholar as far as linguistics. And when it comes to studying just the origins of writing, just how writing began, we can also begin to see the unity of humanity in this historical unity, and you can trace it back and start to see some realism that comes out of those first 10 chapters of the book of Genesis. It's amazing.
It's true. This is true. Now, I need to explain a bit more inside, I will say, what really is happening here, and how we can see this also written down in the Bible. And again, you will say to me, Dan, that you know those verses and you never saw this in this point of view. So we know that.
I've given up on a lot of times because you guys you throw so many curveballs I've never heard before. It's amazing.
No, but this is it's connected a bit to. Oh no, come on, not now. Let me close it. It is connected. Okay, this issue, because we have two realms of the Torah. We have the written Torah and we have the oral Torah. And the oral Torah was hidden from the nations until the, I will say, the last generation. Only from the last generation we're starting to speak or to say the things that we got also in the oral Torah that are not written down. More than that, I will tell you here a secret, okay, that in the Babylon Talmud, okay, in the Babylon Talmud, the most important oral Torah that we have,
right?
It says it's taking one of the verses in Genesis, and it says that God gave us those two Torah, the oral Torah and the written Torah. The written Torah that also other people around the world will manage to take them, and I think that we mentioned once that we have already more than 2,000 languages that this Bible was translated. And from the other side, the oral Torah will remain only for the Jewish until the end of days.
Wow.
And this is what's happening now, that in the end of days, we're starting to speak and to say. Now, when we speak, and a very important point to understand before we continue on, the issue of the Bible is not a wisdom. It's God speaking with the Hebrew nation. When God is speaking with the Hebrew nation, you need to understand the nuances. You know, I'm speaking now with you, and I can see Timothy, and I can see Renat. Now it's a bit, I will say, hard because it's with the computer, but still we can see one each other. And it's not like the same that I'm just saying things, okay, to the audience. I can see. Right. By the way, I lost your picture. By the way, I don't know what happened, but it's okay.
I just turned that picture off. I got multiples on screen. I don't need to be up multiple times, but
it's okay. Here I can see you. So we can see we're speaking one. And this is the same intimate that God had with the Hebrew nation. Now we lost it because we lost the issue of prophecy. We lost it. We're speaking about that we had. The double amount of people who went out from Egypt. See, we had 600,000 people who went out from Egypt. We had a double amount of people along history that were prophecies. So we're speaking about, and we can see also with the story about Saul. Okay, when he went to look or to find his. It was the donkeys. Now, if I remember correctly, he looked for the donkeys. And he saw a few prophecies together, few people who were prophesying together, and they told him, "No, don't ask us. Ask the big prophecy, Samuel." So in those days, there were all the time a lot of people who were prophesying. So God spoke with them. God spoke with the Hebrew nation, and the Hebrew sages are saving this inheritance. This issue till today. So when we're speaking about, or when we're learning from the Hebrew sages, those issues, we are holding, the oral Torah is holding this will of God and what exactly he wanted. And this is where from one side, you can read this Bible, and from the other side, only when you read this Bible and you're getting the insights of the Hebrew sages, you're starting to understand a bit more in a profound way what exactly God wants here from us. This is how it's working.
It makes good sense. It makes great sense that that they were preserved for such a time as today. And I really think it needs to come out more and more, and we're so honored that you would take the time to do it. So many people don't want to hear the depth, and they even get derogatory towards what the Hebrew nation has to say without actually hearing what they have to say. And as it starts to come out and the points are made, people then begin to digest and say, hey, there's some reality to this. And more than that, it's life-altering.
Yes, I agree with you. And I'm very thankful for this issue that there are people like you and all the people that are sitting here and others that are also interested with those issues. And I think that this is the way that we will manage to continue on. Okay. Maybe, Dan, you read this one, please, Dan?
Sure.
The human spices.
The human species is one in its nature, descended from the same ancient couple, continuing to remain one in its development and having equal rights before the Creator, without any difference or prejudice whatsoever. How could anybody in the world have a problem with that statement?
Yes, it's true. Today, we don't have a problem. But again, the Hebrew nation is saying this along the history, long before the French Revolution, long before the black and the white people, for everybody else. And if I already mentioned this, okay, this is the plan of God history, okay, overall plan of God history, okay, that we will all be united back together around one God. And the problem is, or usually the important special, I will say, significance, that every person is asking himself, what is my mission? Okay, what is your mission? What is my mission? Everybody is asking themselves. Now, what really, so we spoke about this issue of the one soul that is also, you can read this, this is a verse, okay? Therefore, no, it's not a verse, sorry. This is part of the oral Torah. Of the oral Torah that we have, okay? This is a part of the Mishnah. Please read it. Please read it down.
Therefore, God created Adam alone to teach that any person who destroys one soul, it is considered as if he destroyed the entire world. And any person who sustains one soul, it is considered as if he sustained the entire world.
Okay, this is how it's written down in the oral Torah. Again, it's very hard to translate the exact words, because in the Hebrew, we need maybe to give one day explanation a bit how the Hebrew is being written down and how it's working, this issue of the Hebrew, because it's working really differently than all the other languages. But if this is the most close, I will say,
translation
that we have. But again, we can see how much we are appreciating every person in this world, because every person is like one full world, and no one here no one here is coming, like we're not equal. No one is equal to anybody else. With the issue, we're not similar one to each other. We're equal in front of God, but we're not similar. If one here is similar to someone else, everybody is a unique person. If we will be similar one to each other, so we are, one of us is not supposed to be here, but everybody have a unique mission. Therefore, everybody is like a full world. And the question is, what really happened? Okay, how come we came to a situation where people murder others in the name of God? And if you will tell me, okay, it was once, Salah ad-Din, it was also Richard the Heart Lion. No, it's not, because if you will go today, okay, you will see, if you're speaking about the ISIS and you will speak about other places, you see that still till today, people are killing others under the name of God. Well, we know that this is exactly the opposite what God asked us to do.
Exactly.
Okay, and I think that we need to look a bit in what happened in the Bible and where exactly it happened that we started to have this separation. Okay, where we started this point of separation, and what happened, and what was the mission of the Hebrew nation. Okay, So this is what I said in chapter 10 of the Genesis. Okay, we have the original list of all the nations who descended from the Noah and his sons after the flood. Okay, and it's bothering me. And we know that, and it look good what I'm saying here, because maybe this is also a bit new. But if you look inside the Bible, there you will see that the sons of Shem went to Asia, and the sons of Japheth went to Europe, and the sons of Ham went to Africa. This is more or less how it been separated, this world. Okay, Noah, who didn't know, I will say, the issue of United States of Canada. Okay, they didn't know this area, or they didn't look at this area for all sorts of reasons. And it's something that was stayed, or it was related to the kind sons, but I won't go inside to this issue. It's a different issue. We see that they were more or less separated to three big regions of this world, to Asia, Europe, and Africa.
Sure.
Now, if I will ask you all, okay, where is the land of Israel? The land of Israel, who everybody know, okay, that this is the land of the Hebrew men. How do I know that this was the land of the Hebrew men? I will go inside, okay? This is a place, if you look at this inside in the map, I don't know if you can see this close enough, you will see that this is the land that is connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa. Okay, this is exactly the piece of land that is connecting all of those places. Now, I'm not speaking about only the old time. We're speaking about every time, all the times, even until 100 years ago. Today, we have the airplanes, and we are moving from one place to another without any problems. But if you will think about the land routes that we have, and in the Israel place, we have also three main routes from north to south. You will see that there is this land was connecting.
Sure, it's a bridge for three continents. It's right in the middle of. It was always a hot spot in the sense that Africa, Asia, and Europe all had to pass through to do any business with each other. Sure.
So, and this is where we're starting to see that the Hebrew nation is getting a very essential part that is connected to the word uniting. We want to unite everybody, but it's not starting only from there. Okay. First of all, we know, I must mention this verse, when Joseph is standing in front of Pharaoh, okay, so he is calling himself the Hebrew, or people are calling him Hebrew young men. And when we're looking in Genesis, okay, when Joseph himself is describing, I was stolen from the land of the Hebrews, and everybody understood exactly what he is speaking about. So the land of the Hebrews is the land that is uniting everybody. All the big places, all the big regions that we have around. This is the land of the Hebrews. And please, if it's okay.
You want me to read that?
Yes, please read this.
All right. The generation of dispersal, Nimrod's generation in Genesis 11, 1-9. Now the entire earth was of one language and uniform words. And it came to pass when they traveled from the east that they found a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and fire them thoroughly." So the bricks were to them for stones, and the clay was to them for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make ourselves a name, lest we be scattered upon the face of the entire earth." And the Lord descended to see the city and the tower that the sons of man built. And the Lord said, "Lo, they are one people, and they all have one language. And this is what they have commenced to do. Now will it not be withheld from them all that they have planned to do? Come, let us descend and confuse their language, so that one will not understand the language of his companion." And the Lord scattered them from there upon the face of the entire earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore he named it Babel, for there the Lord confused the language of the entire earth, and from there the Lord scattered them upon the face of the entire earth.
I must say that in Hebrew, the word Babel is from it's from the issue of confusing. It's the same word, okay? Here we can speak more about the bubble that you have in the shower, but in Hebrew, the word Babel, Bavel is by all the time, mixing up everything. And the question that we need to oppose here, okay, this issue of the one language. We started as one language, okay, and suddenly something happened there that we can't understand one each other. Now I'm asking us to look on this in a bit more profound way. It's not only that what exactly we are speaking, okay? Timothy, here I'm sure that you have that you know also other languages, not only the English language. Also, Renat, I know that you know 6 languages, Renat, okay? Dan, also you know also more than one language. So people know few languages, but let's not look at this only about the language that we are speaking and we're managing to communicate one to each other. The issue here that is running inside that we had one language, so basically we had a unity in this all of mankind, and God decided to spread out this unity, to confuse this language that we lost it. And we need to ask ourselves, there's only, I'm stating here, okay, I want to state that there's only one family who preserved those principles, this language, I will say this principle of one language that can reunite all of us together. And this family, it's not Abraham at the end, but we're starting from Abel, okay? And I will show this also in Genesis. Look, please read this one also, Dan.
Okay, in Genesis 10:21-25. And to Shem were also born children. He was the father of all the people of the other side of the river, the brother of Japheth, the elder. The sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. And the sons of Aram were Uz, and Hul, and Gaither, and Mash. And Arphaxad begot Shelah, and Shelah begot Eber. And to Eber were born 2 sons. One was named Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided.
Now, we need to understand, when someone is getting a name, and in the Hebrew nation, the word name is also what is your purpose in life. Okay?
Right.
What is your purpose? The word name and purpose is the same word. Okay? מה המטרה שלך? What is your name? מה השם שלך? לשם מה? And we're speaking here about a family that have connection with God with the issue of prophecy. And Abel is having a son. And one of them, he is calling him Abel because at the end of his days, the world will be divided. He's called his son Peleg. Peleg is being divided. Peleg in Hebrew is being divided. And we see that there is in this family of Abel, that at the end also Abraham will be, and then Isaac, and then Jacob, and Israel, and everything else, the Hebrew nation. This family is holding some sort of a will in the language that we will manage to be reunited back. And this is why he is also speaking. He's calling his son under the name that we don't want this to happen. This is what will happen, and we want to reserve this issue that we want. At the end of the days, we will manage to be reunited back.
Bring it all together, sure.
And this is something that the Hebrew nation is restoring, is holding along the history. Those, I will say, the values, the right exact explanation, how to read this Bible. And at the end of the days, also, we will have also this issue of prophecy, where we will manage to be reunited together, because this is, I will say, the mission or the vision or the purpose of this nation. This is also one of the reasons why everybody is all the time very against this nation, because it's
Rabbi, can I ask you a question?
To ask, always you can ask, yes.
Okay, in Genesis 11:1. Now, this is something I've brought up before, and I've brought up in other places, and I don't get a straight answer from the rabbis. In the Hebrew language, in Genesis 11:1, okay, where it says the whole earth used one language and of the same words, the word for language and the same words, you have a Hebrew word safath or safeth and a Hebrew word dabar. And there's a difference. So they were of one language and one speech. Most people understand both words, and we have a word in English called dialect. You know, what was that when we say language, dialect is a tongue. And yet there's two separate words. And I have found in my studies that one is a language and one is a speech. Which one of these is dialect? And they're two different words. And then when you read the story as we just read, it says that Hashem confused their language. Okay, so he confused their safef, not their dabar. And I see that there's that preservation there for a reason. And I think that this has to do with the unity. What was preserved was not confused in that story. And it's tough to get a straight answer out of rabbis on the difference between those two words, because most people are traditionally taught that the story meant that the tongues were all twisted. And the way I read it is the safeth was altered. And the more I studied ancient archaeology and tried to find tangible evidence for the event, the more I realized is that there was argument and confusion over what something meant, because I found that the dawn of all writing began as a counting system. First and foremost, it was never designed as actual text. It started out as how to count. And there's honest links between that original formation of complex clay tokens as a counting system to the original Proto-Sinaitic, which became Hebrew. And I know that there's a link here on this Genesis 11, chapter 1, in the difference between the Hebrew word for language and dabar, which meant speech.
Okay, I will, first of all, this by itself worth an hour that we will discuss it, and I will show this also in a few places of the Bible, and exactly to understand those two words. Those are two different words that the translation it's not the best translation. Okay, but it's very complicated. It's very interesting to speak about these issues, because we have the source, and the source is in Hebrew, and the translation, every translation is losing something.
Yeah.
But I will say it like that, okay? In the Hebrew, it says, if I will try to be much more precise, okay? Now, the entire earth was one language, okay?
Safath.
This is Safa Echad, and uniform words, it's basically it says there were few, I will say, few words, not only one word, okay? A few words. When we speak about a few words in Hebrew, okay, Dvarim Achadim, the answer is that each family had a uniqueness, a different uniqueness of something that they're giving to this world.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we had, I will say, one language, so we had mainly one aim, and we were united, and we were together. On the other side, we didn't lose the uniqueness of each family, of each people, of each person. And what happened there inside this issue of Nimrod's generation? This is Nimrod, okay? In a few minutes, we're going to read exactly in our tradition what happened there, or what's the difference between Nimrod and Abraham, okay? What Nimrod tried to do is to demolish, okay, the uniqueness of each person. And God said the only way of managing that everybody will have his uniqueness and will show this is by separating all these people around the world, so everybody will have his uniqueness. Okay, there's a difference between the place I will say what's happening in Lithuania and what's happening in Canada and what's happening in other places in this world, and each one have his uniqueness in his behavior. But we need to also to go back to this issue of one language. And this is the difference between Nimrod and Abraham. So it's something that we need maybe once to explain a bit deeper, and to show this also with the other places where it speaks about those two words, Safa and Dvarim. Those are two different words, as you said, mentioned. It's mentioned very nicely. Safa, it's some sort of a language. Dvarim, it's more things that we are speaking about. But when we will speak about this, I will show you also how the prophets at the end of days are speaking about those two issues, and we're trying to reunite us all of us together and to be one language, even though each one and one of us have uniqueness for his life. Okay, Dan. So I'm giving you half an answer. I didn't give you the full answer, but it is the.
Thank you, Rabbi.
But you're starting to understand a bit more what's happening. More questions. If anybody have more questions, if not, we'll continue on. We have a few more minutes so we can continue on.
Yeah, Rabbi Chaim, I definitely agree there that the language changes the way people think and what they can do and all that sort of stuff. So I agree with you that language, it's like the uniqueness of a group.
It is true. Thank you, Timothy. You're more than right. And today we know that also. By the way, it's also interesting. You're more than right, Timothy, and I agree with you. Thank you for this very important message that you said. Today we have in the researchers, we're speaking about in our brain, we have the right side and the left side. Okay.
Mhm.
And the left side is much more creative, much more imaginary, and the right side is much more, the mathematics side and much more precise side. All the physics sides, all the exact
Right.
things that we're speaking about. Now, usually, and it's also very interesting to see how it happened. Okay, but usually the English side is writing from left to right. Okay, the Hebrew language is writing from right to left. The researchers of today are speaking that this is part of the uniqueness of the Hebrew nation, that they are so with a lot of creativity, because they're all the time using from the right side to the left side. They are writing from the right side to the left side. This is what people today, researchers, are speaking about. And again, this is also connected to the way of thinking of language. Now, the language also have a lot of insights, I'll say. When you're speaking about more
Yeah.
passive or much more active, there are a lot of things when you're starting to search inside this issue of language, you're starting to understand that it's also connected or related to the culture of people. But we need again to understand that we're not speaking only about the issue of languages. We're speaking about, as you said, we're speaking about the issue of the culture, and there are different cultures. And it's okay. From the other side, we still can be reunited together because we came from one person, from one man, from Adam, and after that from Eve, also with her, and we will return back at the end of history to be reunited together.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That is so beautiful. May it happen quickly and in our time.
Hopefully, amen, amen. We don't have enough time to go inside to everything. I will say it in few words, and then we'll continue on. I will say there is a story in the Babylon Talmud that I think I mentioned this in one of the courses. Never mind. This is a story about the Babylon Talmud. There was someone who came and said to Shammai, he said to him, "I want that you will convert me to be Jewish."
Right.
So Shammai told him, "But we have two Torah, the oral Torah and the written Torah." So he said to him, "No. I believe only in the oral Torah."
Written Torah.
The written Torah, sorry, the written Torah. So Shammai, threw him out from his place. But when he came to Hillel, okay, so Hillel said to him, okay, fair enough, you believe only in the written Torah, so let's go on. And he started to teach him Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dal, A, B, C, D. And the next day, he misunderstood, he changed the words. He started to say to him, Aleph, the A is basically C, and B is basically D. So this guy started to ask him, yesterday you told me different. So he said to me, you need to believe in the oral Torah that I'm teaching you. Okay.
Can't get around it. You cannot get around it.
You need also to understand, to rely on the person that's speaking with you, with the things that he's saying to you. We have also say in Hebrew, Mikarin divrei emet. When someone is speaking the truth, you can see that. When someone is lying to you, you can see that also. Usually you can see that also. And the same thing we have, when you can trust and you have the faith in someone. And now those two traditions we have. So those are the two traditions that we have in the Hebrew nation. And I want to go on inside a bit more deeper to what happened there in the Babylon issue. Okay, there is a verse. Okay, in Proverbs, I think this is how we call it in English. In Mishlei. Okay, the wicked man earns illusory wages, but he who has sows
Charity, yeah.
receives the true rewards. Okay, so there is a wicked man and there is a source charity, source charity. Okay, with true rewards. And in our oral tradition, we're speaking that the wicked man is Nimrod, and the source charity is basically Abraham. Now, both of them were in the same time. More than that, Abraham started with the issue of the Babylon. He was also part of the Babylon until he was 48 years old. In our tradition, he was part of the Babylon issue, and then he decided to go away and not to be part of Nimrod, not to be part of this society. And what is happening here? You see that two men. What is happening here? That we're speaking about the Abraham, okay, and Abraham and Nimrod. Nimrod, what he did, he moved people to worship idol, okay, and this is very more or less issue of the lie. He knew God. Nimrod, the word Nimrod in Hebrew is that he knew God and he decided to be against him. Okay, the word Nimrod in Hebrew is Nimrod, to be against God. So Nimrod knew God, but he said to people, let's worship idol. Mostly he said to himself, but this is something else. Okay, and this is what says also in Jeremiah. Okay,
yeah. Every man is brutish without knowledge. Every smith is put to shame by his graven image, for his molten images are false, without spirit in them.
This is basically the issue of Nimrod. While with Abraham, we see something different altogether. Okay, what Abraham did, Abraham planted a Damascus tree in Beersheba, and he called there, in the name of the Lord, in the name of God, the God of the world. What exactly Abraham did? And we spoke about this a few times. Abraham gave people the issue of eating. Okay, and read this, please. Dan, you do it much more.
And he called there in the name of the Lord, the God of the world. After he gave them food and drink, they would bless him, and he would say to them, "You bless me, bless the master of the house, who gives all creations food and drink, and gives them spirit." They would say, "Well, where is he?" And he would respond, "He governs in the heavens and the earth, causes death and life, crushes and heals, creates the fetus in its mother's womb and brings it out to the world, grows the plants and trees, brings down the grave and rises up."
Okay, and it's very, I will say, strange. Okay, because when you're talking about this issue of the food, and you start trying to take this issue of food and trying to teach from this that people will believe in God. What exactly is happening here? So we explain, because we lost the time. I will do it very fast. Okay, but basically what Abraham is doing exactly, precisely what God have done in his world. God created a world where, when God was here before the world was created, nothing else could be here. And we explained that also last time. Like a candle of light, when the sun is in the middle of the day, in the
Right.
afternoon, the light of the candle is nothing in front of this.
Not visible, yeah.
Not visible. And God, because of that, God is withdrawing himself back. He's going backwards, and he's giving space to every person here in this world. He's giving space.
Free will.
And the same thing, this free will that he's giving also. And he's being in this free will. And this space that he's giving, it's the same thing that Abraham did. Abraham put everybody inside himself. He gave people space inside. He said to them, "Come inside and eat with me." And the second thing is that this issue of eating is teaching us, before we understanding in the knowledge, we're managing to see this inside with our, with the experience that we have, that there is something outside of me, some source of outside of me that is giving me life. And then we can speak about God. He's not speaking about God by himself or stop just, with any connection. It is related. When you understand that you need something outside of you that will give you life.
We're not self-sustaining.
You can speak about God who's coming from outside of you and giving you the source of life. And this is exactly what Abraham is doing. And this is a very big difference between Nimrod and Abraham. And this is, I will say, the first step, I will say like that, the first step of understanding what's happening here in this Bible. It's not by mistake that this Bible is starting from the beginning of the world, when we didn't have any men in this area, when God created this world in the first 6 days. And it's not by mistake that the Bible is starting with one man, that from him we have all the universe, all the people in this world. And we'll see that Abraham is taking those principles and trying to implement them inside this world. He started 4,000 years ago. And those secrets, I will say, that we have, we need to spread them out to everybody, and we will manage to live in a much more properly way, all of us together, even though everyone have his each uniqueness. Those are the things that I will say. It's very related, first of all, to Passover, because the reason why we went out of Passover from Egypt, the reason why we went out from Egypt is to show that we are not captured in any, I will say, state of mind. We have the ability of going out from things that, people were very stuck in a state of mind, and we went out from there because we have some message to the world how we can be back reunited. So we spoke last week that we a bit failed, okay, in this issue of Egypt, because we did manage to take out all of the world out from those.
You said that last week. You touched on that last week, and so there's something deeper there rather than just being delivered from the oppression of slavery in Egypt. There's actually something that Hashem had planted into the Hebrew nation that he wanted to bring alive for the rest of the world to understand.
Exactly. And this is what the Hebrew nation is started to speak in our language, I'll say in the universe language, 4,000 years ago. We just started to speak about this, and we can't stop in the middle. We will continue saying this loud and clear to all of the world, to all the people of the world, until we will manage to be together, reunited, and believe in one God, and because we are united also. If people have any questions, this is the time. So this is the things that I wanted to speak today. It's a bit more general. We saw a few verses. It's a bit more general, and we will continue on to the issue of the Genesis and other things inside Genesis. From the next time, it will be 3 weeks from today, if I understand correctly, because
3 weeks from today, Rabbi. 3 weeks.
Yes, because not 3 weeks. 1, 2. Yes, in the next coming 2 weeks. Next week is Passover, and I'm in the middle of celebration with my family. The week after that, I'm supposed to be in Lithuania. I'm not sure yet what will happen, but I assume that I will be in Lithuania. And the week after that, 3 weeks from now, we will continue on the next time. But if someone have any questions, we have few more minutes. I can try to answer questions if I know the answers. If I don't know the answers, I will say to you I don't know the answers.
Rabbi, there's a lot of depth there. There's a lot of depth in the sense that the Hebrew nation has saw this in a way that is different than the rest of the world has viewed it. The rest of the world has tried to look at the story as a story, where the Hebrew nation has factually lived it. And I can see how they've passed truth along for the motivation behind it all the way back. And we really appreciate you sharing that. It's amazing. Sometimes I just can't wrap my mind around the sheer fact that it's being told from a first person motivation. And you can never deny when you ask somebody, why did you do what you did? And they tell you their honest motivation, not that they did something, deviant or anything. The point is, if you ask somebody, why did they do what they did? And they tell you, it's first person. It's the truth. It's why they did what they did. And when I hear the Hebrew nation, when I hear yourself talk about the oral tradition, it's bringing out that real oral truth, why they went through what they went through, why God was bringing them from this stage to that stage. I've had many people talk about the whole Tanakh, airs a lot of dirty laundry. It's written down in such a way that you've had some ups and downs, wars and hardships and deliverances. But that motivation, that essence that carries the Hebrew nation forward is so alive. And I think the world needs to hear it clearer.
Can I say something?
Yes, of course, Timothy, yes.
I find, like, definitely I very much believe in the oral Torah and all that sort of stuff. But, yeah, just as another note, like, some people don't believe in the oral Torah quite so much, and they just believe in what's written down, like, in the Old Testament. And I just find it mind-boggling how some people believe in all of the Bible or the Old Testament, and then they don't believe in any of the oral Torah, and it just doesn't really make sense because
you can't know it. You can't know. There's so many things in there that you just cannot know unless there's a description.
Yeah, it sheds so much light on the situation, and
it sheds all the light, the clarity. There's detail. I mean, we watch TV today in 4K, and they got new 8K TVs coming out that's beyond what the human eye can see. But all I can say is when they share out of the oral Torah, the clarity of what was really in the text comes right alive.
I agree with you, both of you. And the issue is the issue of the oral Torah, as I said before, this issue of how do I teach you the ABC, and the day after that I'm oppositing these things. The issue of the oral Torah is very essential. Now, people prefer not to believe in the oral Torah, basically because it's showing a different dimension to this issue. But the main issue that people are losing in this issue, in this point of view, is that today we are in a different dimension. Okay, I'm saying this that we lost something. It's like the difference between someone who is flying on the airplane, where we got another dimension, and someone that is only driving a car. Until we had the missiles, until we had the rocks, we didn't know that that the world is around. Okay, we were all the time asking ourselves exactly what's happening here. Only when we had this third dimension that we managed to go up on the air, we saw a different way all this a different perspective. Now we lost a very important dimension. When the Bible was written down, we had a dimension of prophecy where God spoke with us. In the last 2,400 years, 24 centuries, we don't have God that is speaking with us. And the only way that we understand exactly what happened there in the Bible is by listening to this inheritance that we have in the Hebrew nation from the prophecies till today. And we have some sort of a line of inheritance. We have something like 6 lines, but I won't go inside to these exactly lines that we have. But we have lines that is preserving, that is holding, that is containing some sort of something that happened there, so we can start to understand, because it's not speaking in the right perspective that we know today. When someone is just reading this Bible, and you see in the Bible a story about King David and Bathsheba, for example, or something else, about Abraham and then Isaac and others, he can think, in a bad way, that it's very similar to what's happening between him and his wife, his neighbor's wife, or something like that. But it's something else, something there. It's in a different dimension, and we lost this dimension. And the only people who preserved or holded this dimension are the sages and the Oral Torah. So those who don't want to believe in this Oral Torah, it's a problem. They're losing it. And I think that one of the things that people can see in the last few years, when we're opening this issue of the Oral Torah, and we're starting to speak, it's not only Chaim Goldberg, it's others also, and we're starting to speak and to show and to share this, people are saying to themselves, wow, this is something a bit different than what we thought, what we saw before. It's not only a story, it's not only something like that, something there is much deeper, and it's speaking, it's relating to us nowadays. Hopefully soon we will have back the prophecy. And then people will say to themselves, of course, now we're starting to understand things here altogether different than what we saw as just as stories. Renat, everything is okay with you?
Yeah, but I have a question regarding the cursed nations and the blessed nations by God, as written in the Bible. So, how a unity can be between these nations?
Wow.
When you're saying the cursed nation, what do you refer? What do you mean?
Like
so they were some biblical figures, and God told them
Noah
that
cursed Noah's son, one son.
One grandson.
Yeah, that the generations of these biblical figures, they will be cursed.
No. So again, we're speaking here about misunderstanding of the translation of the Bible. We're going back to the same problem, okay? When you read this Bible as translation in English, you can think that this is what's happening there. It's not what's happening there at all. What God is saying, what God is exposing, I will say that it's again something that we need to go more inside, deeper and profound to understand what's happening there. What God is saying there, He's saying, look, this son, this grandson of Noah, okay,
yes.
His potential, his things, the things that he's doing in life, can bring a lot of damage if he won't be under supervision of someone else. Therefore, for along most of the time of the history, he will be slaves to others. But it's not because he is not he doesn't have, I will say, the ability to be a human. By the way, it says also that at the end of history, the slavery will go down. But in those days, or until the end of history, like we saw in the last 60, 70 years, where we're managing to take down all the slavery, if those people, or if this specific son, would be without any supervision or someone that is holding his hand and supervising exactly what he's doing, he will do horrible things. And there are people, okay, in this world, that when you don't have, I would say, this balance of people who are treating them, they are doing bad things. We know that.
Wow.
This is what God is saying there. But we need to go inside to the Bible and to the verse and to understand this also in Hebrew, because the Hebrew language is containing. Maybe I need to speak next time before we continue on with the Bible itself. I will speak a bit about the Hebrew language, and I will show examples from the first few chapters to understand exactly how it's a very unique language. Nobody else have language like the Hebrew language. Every word have it's like a brick. Every word is
That's
like a brick.
Amazing, Rabbi. I love the way you just pulled that out and clarifying the limits of a curse and what still could be accomplished. And I find it very similar even back to the time of Adam and the garden, being removed from the garden, and what people consider to be a cursed earth. If you just look at it from another dimension, that upper dimension, Hashem is doing a corrective thing.
I agree, and we will speak about this issue of Adam and Eve and what's happened there in the gardens in the heaven gardens. We will speak about this. We will have a session about this also, maybe even not more than one. But it's true. So you need to see those things in a different way. It's again, the translation is very bad translation. You need to understand exactly the issues inside there. Okay, Renat, you with me?
Yeah, thank you, Rabbi, for clarification.
Not a problem.
That was a great question, Renat.
It's good.
Thank you,
as I said, I'm working on this. I'm going to put all of this as a course. By the way, free. Okay, free course in the internet, so people will manage to go inside and to see everything. So also, I think that all of you are going to be on the internet and going to get assistance from your words that you said very nicely to promote this issue. And I think that it's very important. So if you disagree, tell me, please. And if it's okay, so it's okay. And in another few minutes, we're going to disconnect us because they're going to go
Rabbi,
to another...
we so appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and taking the time to put these wonderful slides together so we can read exactly what you're saying, to share with us the oral Torah in a way that is alive. And I know that for us, it's not commonplace. We haven't heard it since we were little children. To hear it, it begins to sink in. We're like sponges, and we thank you so much for it. So we're on in 3 more weeks?
In 3 weeks, we are going back, and I will organize in the next 24 hours, okay, the links and everything else, and we will publish this. And thank you very much all, and see you after Passover. Have a great time in those springtime, okay, with the sun and everything else. Timothy, was excellent to see you also today.
Thank you.
And I'll see you all tomorrow.
All right, bye for now, folks. Have a wonderful week and a great Pesach.
Thank you and bye.